Welcome to Subramani. Um when we think back of 2020, for most of us, it was really one of the worst years of our lives. At least I hope, even for our children's lives, I hope that was the worst year. Now, coming to think of it, for most of us who are alive and working and earning money, and were earning money during the COVID period also into some form or the other, it was a minor inconvenience today, to looking back at it in 2022 and going forward 2023. This a problem? Yes, of course it was a problem. It was an irritant and it was scary because we didn't know what is going to happen. Most of us lost people in the first round or second round, and you knew friends, neighbor's friend, things like that. Your own building and your own society, your own groups, you lost people. You lost very, very fit people. You lost unfit people, and there was no pattern to what you were losing in March 2020. Going forward, we understood the protocols, etc. So then it became a minor inconvenience. In fact, for my daughter, it became a kind of a blessing because her CA exam got postponed by 6 months, and that too not one short 6 months. It got postponed 2 months, etc. So she actually got more time to study. She did very well in her exams. Thank you. And at that time it looked like, oh my god, 6 months got wasted, because the exam itself, the CA Institute did not hold the exam. They did not hold it online or something. They couldn't hold, they did not hold. So she lost 6 months. But coming to think of it, she got time to study better, and so she did well. So for us, the fact that we were in a position where we could help rather than seek help was itself a very big thing. Because I remember going to buy medicines, and good professionals like carpenters and masons said there was no work. So he was standing there he needed some 15,000 rupees to buy medicine. So I said, okay, here is my contribution. I gave him some money. So you're also happy that you were in a position where you could help people rather than you asking people for help, right? It must have been very difficult for those people. Of course, terrible for those about 2 million odd people who died all over the world, and horrible for those people who lost a breadwinner. Losing anybody is emotional, right? So a parent losing a kid is definitely emotional. A 30-year-old losing his 60-year-old parent is emotional. A 55-year-old losing his 85-year-old father, mother is also emotional. But when you lose a breadwinner, that is very close to a disaster, because the paperwork may not have been complete in a country which is madly obsessed about paperwork more than anything else. So it must have been terrible for people who did not make a will and things like that. But historically, I was just checking out whether there was this year in 536 AD, which was very terrible for the whole world, because there were some natural disasters and the whole world got engulfed in dust. And I read about it somewhere. So and think of World War I, where people must have lost a lot of lives. World War II, where a lot of Indians, World War I and World War II, where a lot of Indians were killed in wars which were not ours, right? Think of those families, think of those breadwinners, think of those 22-year-olds who went to the army, and there would have been no news. The British were not bothered about what happened to your families, right? You died somewhere far, far away, and your family didn't know what happened, or you came back after 4 years, 5 years, saying, oh, this was the trouble, right? So things must have been terrible in those times. The good fallout of COVID was, I wouldn't call it the good fallout. Luckily for us, COVID came at a time when we had good technology to work from home. I've heard of couples who had come to India, who were stuck in India. They could not go back to US, but their technology and laptops made sure that they could sit and work in India. So work from home was one good fallout of the COVID thing. But the fact is, were there times which were worse than 2020? Yes, it looks like. Previously, it must have been, think of the year 1947 in India. The partition was a killer, right? So many people, especially in North India. It did not impact South India that much, but North and East definitely saw some of the bloodiest violence, right? So we saw all that. Or 1984, for a small portion of the Delhi, for the Delhi Sikh population, small portion, but they did not have a global impact, but the impact on those families would have been terrible, right? So I've come to one very clear thought that whatever happens, the question is how you react to it. First of all, for all of us, it could have been worse. I could have been dead. We could have lost somebody in the immediate family, which did. I mean, many people watching this video would remember or would definitely know somebody who went into a good big hospital, spent 20-30 lakhs, and then couldn't recover. So two things: one is you lost a breadwinner, one you lost a lot of money spending. It was not covered enough by insurance. So yes, for all of them it was terrible, but for some of us it was just a mere inconvenience. For my daughter, like I said, in retrospect, it was actually good because it helped her study better. And I am convinced about one thing: anything that happens is the question of how you react to it, which is far more important than the event itself. If somebody fell ill, the question to ask is, did you have enough money to pay for the hospital? Could that person take the pain on their body? Did they live through it? If the answer is yes, then yes, it was inconvenience, and today you can say, okay, we went through that thing. Because ultimately it is not about what happens to you, it is how you react to it that is going to matter, right? How you react to any of these situations. What could have you done? You couldn't have done much, right? So but you can only choose how you want to react to something like this. You cannot choose the event, right? So you choose the problems, in the sense that you choose which of your problems you want to attend first. Is it the headache that you have, the toothache you have, or the leg fracture which happened 5 minutes ago, right? You make a choice saying, okay, the leg fracture is a bigger problem, so I'll attend to that and not to my toothache or my headache. So similarly in life, you will have such problems. You will have, I hope you won't have another COVID kind of a situation, but you will have problems. The question is, can you close your eyes and think what would have happened? What could have been worse? How you could have been wiped out? How you could have been in a business which was a touch business, like you were running 30 taxis. You owned 30 taxis and you've given it to people for driving it, and they all ran away to their villages. You couldn't bring them back. You're stuck with the EMI, right? It could have been worse. You were running a barber shop. The barber shop was closed by the government for 2 years. It completely ruined you. It could have been much worse. So think of what could have happened much worse than what has actually happened. Think of it being a great opportunity where you could help others rather than seek help. Seeking help is not going to be easy at all. Think of all that, and well, that's one way to look at any event that happens, because ultimately what happens in an event is of course important. How you react to it is far more important. Another fallout that I saw is many people spent a lot of time at home. For some people it was not easy, but for many people it meant they spent better quality time with their family, with your parents, with your kids, and you got to know them better. So some of those were the positive fallouts of the COVID problem. The question is, again, like I said, anything that happens to you in your life, you don't have a choice. You only have a choice of how to react to it. So if you got a chance to be closer with your family and travel after the COVID restrictions were lifted, you decided, okay, these are the things that I must do. I must to take care of my physical health and mental health. It has had a huge impact on many people's mental health, because a small house with 3-4 people or 8 people living in a 1 BHK or a 2 BHK, very common in Bombay, getting on each other's nerves, not being able to go out, right? All those things would have had a huge impact on people. Even now, I find many people trying to get into social groups, etc., to meet people, talk to people, because working from home is very, very stressful. So handling all those things, so handling your physical health, mental health, taking care of all that, taking care of your parents, taking care of your children, all that, your priorities change completely. You said, okay, I don't want this job, I'll take up another job. A lot of women gave up jobs when they were asked to come back to office, because today options are available that you work in the multinational which does not even have an office in India, so they obviously want you to work from home. So many of those options happened, at least. So the question is how you look at it, how you look at the opportunities, and like, I don't remember who said that the question is not what happens to you, the question is how you react to it. Thank you.